So a very good morning to each and every one of you. I'm very happy to be with the diverse group, and also I have chosen a topic which is applicable to every one of you, and everybody can contribute something to sustainable development, because sustainable development is a very multidisciplinary concept, and it is not possible to only with one sector to address the issues of sustainable development. So since you are all diverse group from different backgrounds, first I will introduce you to what is sustainable development and what can be done. Then we will also see how far the countries have moved towards the attainment of sustainable development goals. So and sustainable development goals are proposed with a lot of thinking, with so much of thinking in measuring the sustainable development and what makes development sustainable. So that is why they are very serious. Some people argue that sustainable development goals, they are just numbers, and they don't really matter. But what is important is these metrics. We call them metrics. These are numbers. So these numbers matter. So these numbers, they will tell us where we stand. For example, if you see that one student is performing well compared to another student, means, you can just simply give a qualitative statement that the student is better than that student. But how? So then we will come to metrics, that is number of marks. Number of marks this student scored, and that student score. So by looking at that, you will know that the fellow has put in a more effort and got more marks. So all you need metrics. So based on the metrics, you will know where you stand. So that is how actually sustainable development goals are extremely important for the countries, and march towards sustainable development goals is very important. So now let us see. We will properly start from, I would like to introduce with the development thinking, because development is a multidisciplinary concept. So everybody should understand what is development, how each discipline can contribute for the development of the country. See, in good old days, even now also, any economic student development paper means it starts with distinguishing between economic growth and economic development. So growth is a smaller concept. In growth, you only look at how much quantity is produced, how many units are produced. So it doesn't go beyond that. But whereas development is a much broader concept. So where, you look at different dimensions of what happened because of the increase in the growth, and what repercussions are there when you focus on the output. So and from that actually we got this human development concept. I will trace the paradigm shift in development thinking. So how paradigm shift has taken place in our development thinking. See why it matters, why this paradigm shift and understanding the paradigm shift is important, is because the paradigm shifts will guide us where our resources should be focused. So all of us know that resources are very limited, but they have multiple uses. So the same resource can be used for producing guns, and same resources can be used for producing any other services. So how much money is to be allocated to produce guns and machine guns and such warfare, and how much money is to be allocated for consumer needs? So that is a very serious thinking. So for that, it depends on the what kind of paradigm you are in. So how you are looking at development, so that guides us the allocation of resources. So that is why I want to trace how the sustainable development paradigm has evolved. Because actually, for more clarity, you Google on what is meant by paradigm. So it gives a clear understanding of what is paradigm. I can tell a little bit, like paradigms are, different paradigms are based on different assumptions. See, earlier the first paradigm, first paradigm in this is not first paradigm. So since where we are starting, so in the initial stages, we were looking at development only increasing output. So that was the paradigm. So that paradigm is based on when output increases, everybody gets benefited. When production increases and resources that are used in the production process, they get incomes, and that incomes are spent on goods and services. When goods and services are produced, again, factors of production will get income, and that acts as an incentive. Again, there will be investment in production. So what that paradigm says is increase in production. So automatically it will lead to it will reach everybody. So that was the assumption. So if that was the assumption, all the resources are utilized in the production of goods and services. But whereas the other paradigm is, it is not just only increase in production, it is beyond that. So based on this paradigm, the other developments have taken place. So very briefly, I'm talking about what is paradigms. So paradigms are based on certain assumptions. So, and those things will lead to the conclusions or resource allocations. So now let us see what are the development paradigms. See, 1920s and 40s. So the development paradigm was economic and cultural progress, and how economic progress is, it is exploitation of natural resources. So during 20s and 30s and 40s, so the development paradigm was increasing output. So start producing, produce. So for which, you exploit the natural resources, because after all, production depends on human natural resources and also human man-made resources. So the paradigm was increase in output, because by increasing output, everything will take care of it. So under that paradigm, the attention was only to exploitation of natural resources. But whereas, in the 40s and 50s, the same thinking continued, and to reach that level in 40s and 60s, we call it as the industrialization paradigm. So in this industrialization paradigm, what happened is, there is more industrialization has taken place. Industrialization taken place in Western countries, and so much of mechanization has taken place. So everything is equated with industrialization. So every country should industrialize, and any country which is highly industrialized is known as a developed country. So that was the industrialization paradigm. And in this paradigm, industrialization is identified as a vehicle for economic development. So in this industrialized paradigm, more and more resources are spent on industrialization, because the thinking was that only when a country industrializes, it will be progressing. So in that paradigm, every resource was in increasing the production of the goods and services. But then later, after 60s, what happened is, when more and more money is spent on industrialization and all, so economic progress, there was income disparities have come about. So those who have money, they are able to progress. Those who do not have money, those who have access to resources, they became very rich. And those who do not have access to resources, they became poor. So the gap between rich and poor, the income levels and the access to resources, there was a vast gap in rural and urban areas. And the disparities have increased so much. So those are initially, like, there is a saying in economics, money earns money. If you have 1 crore, it is easy to make 5 crores. But if you have only 1 lakh, when will you make 5 crores? So it is like that. So because of that, what happened is, those who have access to technological resources, so there was a gap between rich and poor, and also rural and urban areas, because industrialization was very much focused on urban areas. So that has led to what is called income disparities. During 60s and 70s, there was a recognition that disparities have increased. So then that is why under that paradigm, the next paradigm was integrated development. Because if you focus only on industrialization, it is leading to the disparities. So you need to develop what is called the integrated area development. So identify the areas and develop them, and agriculture production, focus on agriculture production, geographic equity geographical areas. So that was the focus on 1970s, during 70s. But then what happened is, during 70s, the trickle down did not happen. Means if development is taking place, automatically it will get deeper into the bottom level also, but that did not take place. So then there was a realization. Then 80s, this participatory development has happened. So under participatory development, the paradigm is the development should be participatory development. And when you are planning for the development, you should involve the stakeholders. You should involve the participants in the process of planning. So that is how we got the participatory development. It is reversal of top-down approach. In top-down approach, everything will be made at the center, and all plans, programs, and everything is done at the Delhi and state, means in Karnataka, Bangalore, only those sit in AC rooms and they prepare that. That is what is the top-down approach. But this participatory development is bottom-up approach, where, stakeholders will be involved. See, for example, now in India, we have a very good system for participatory development, but reality is far from what is desired. But, as it exists, we have very, very, very nice systems for promoting the participatory development in the form of decentralized governance. We have what is called the decentralized governance, in which we have Panchayat Raj systems is there, we have corporations are there, and in urban governance, we have corporations, and rural governance, we have Panchayat Raj institutions. So all these institutions facilitate the planning process. If you take Gram Panchayat, Gram Sabha is the supreme authority in Gram Panchayat, theoretically, because Gram Sabha has every right to question. Gram Sabha decides the priorities, how much money has to go where, and Gram Sabha decides who should be receiving the benefits. See, for example, when government programs come, so people are to be identified, because program may be some 10 people, maybe it may be sufficient for 10 people, but maybe expecting maybe 30 people may be there. How to select this 10? So that should be participatory way. So Gram Sabha should decide. So actually Gram Sabha is supreme, and Gram Sabha is nothing but you and me. All of us in a Gram Panchayat, all are by default, all of us are members of the Gram Panchayat, and Gram Sabha is a general body. It's in a kind of, it's a general body of Gram Panchayat, and everybody should be participating in the Gram Sabhas. So 80s, there was this movement that development should be top-down. It should not be top-down, it should be bottom-up approach. But after 80s, then after 80s only, with Earth Summit only, 1990 to Earth Summit only, this sustainable development concept has come about. So till then, people were never bothered about whether the development is going to be continuous process or not. Actually, later part of 80s and early part of 90s only, more people started working on the natural resource issues and the sustainability issues. Natural resources, economics and environmental economics, they all came about in latter part of 80s, where people started looking at whether the development is, whether the resources, natural resources are going to exhaust. Because in natural resources, that there are exhaustible resources and renewable resources. And exhaustible resources, once you start digging, once you start using this, they don't grow. For example, if you take coal mines, whatever is there, it is there. You can only take only that much. It won't grow. But whereas, the forest trees in forest, once you cut the trims and again it grows. So similarly, fish in oceans. So if you catch fish, again fish will be growing. But even in the case of, there are some of the examples. So even in the case of renewable resources also, there are limitations. Non-renewable resources, anyway, they won't grow once you start using. So once you start using means, it is what is called, it's a trade-off between this generation and future generation. So if you use more, if this generation uses more, less is available for the future generation. So because of that, in the case of non-renewable resources, if you use more, less is available for the next generation. Similarly, in the case of renewable resources also, even though they grow with your usage, there is a limitation, because non-renewable resources have a natural rate of growth. So there is what is called the natural rate of growth, the rate at which every natural thing, every living thing, they have their own natural rate of growth. See, for example, if you see so many plants and trees and all, so if you cut some trees, they grow very quickly. And some trees, they take a lot of time. So each species has got its own natural rate of growth. Similarly, fish, or any, for that matter, any such renewable resources. So there is a natural rate of growth. So the rate at which you are drawing the resources is greater than the natural rate of, greater than the rate at which they regenerate. So then it creates imbalance. It creates imbalance, and future generation will have less resources than the current generation. So all this thinking has gone about in latter part of 80s, and people started proposing what is called the theories, saying that the resources will be completely exhausted, the rate at which resources are being used, if you don't pay attention to the resources, to the usage of resources. So then in environmental economics, we study about how to put curbs on the usage of resources, whereas in resource economics, we study about how much a resource can be used, giving opportunity for the next generation also to use it. So all these things have come about at summit. There was a discussion about the sustainable development. So Buntle and Commission, they first brought out the concept of sustainable development. So sustainable development is the development which gives opportunity for the future generation also to use the similar kind of resources that we are using, at least to that level. So the sustainable development, when sustainable development has been discussed, and in sustainable summit, in sustainable summit, UN sustainable summit. So 2030 agenda for sustainable development goals were formulated. So if you leave the development like this, it is not possible for the future generation to enjoy the same level of resources. So you need to identify how much it can be used and where the country should be leading for the development to be sustainable. So I will talk more about it, how we got it. So this is how actually the paradigm development has taken place. Paradigm shift has taken place. So from just a simple output to the sustainable development paradigm. Now it is sustainable development paradigm. So everybody is talking about how to make the development sustainable with the efficient use of resources. So actually in this sustainable development concept only, one school argues that there is a world is coming to an end, resources are coming to, there's a limit to growth. That is the proposal, and that is the theory. But whereas there is another school, Club of Rome, what they suggested is that it is not that the world is coming to an end, because as development is taking place, technological changes will be taking place. With the technological changes, efficiency of the resources used also will be increasing. See, for example, now if you see your motorbikes, so how efficient they are now compared to what it was. So earlier to run, with 1 liter petrol, you are able to run only 25 kilometers. Now with 1 liter petrol, you are able to run 40-50 kilometers. So that is the efficiency of the engines. So what these people argue is, with technological development, it is possible that resources may become more efficient. So then development will be continuing these two schools of thought. So what is sustainable development? In a way, I just told you, the development that meets the needs of the present generation without compromising the ability of the future generation to meet their own needs. So this was given in 1987, Butland Commission. It was the commission to look into the environmental issues. So it is the hormone. So sustainable development, as I told you, it is a multidisciplinary concept. So a sustainable development, it is a harmonious integration of sound and viable economy, responsible governance, and social cohesion and ecological integrity. So some of you must be science. So I'm not really using much of these terms, technical terms. I'll explain them in a very easy way with a diagram. So sustainable development so basically sustainable development is economic development, environmental protection, social reform, and people's empowerment. So all 4 are very, very important components of sustainable development. For any development to be sustainable, first thing is you need economic development. People should have their incomes. Without incomes, people won't be able to make their living. So you need income. You need income for the people. So next one is you need environmental protection. So why environmental protection is needed is, so as I told you, in the process of economic development, you will also be using the environmental resources. So by usage of environmental resources, 2 kinds of things will take place. So one is you'll be exhausting your resources. And second one is, in the process of production, pollutants will be developed. So by doing that, you'll be polluting the environment. So 2 kinds of environmental effect will be there. So it is important to look at the environmental protection. Then third one is social reform. Why social reform is important? Why social reform is important is because unless until people think that they need to protect the environment, they need to protect their resources, they won't do it. See, there is a saying, no, you can only take the donkey to water, you can't make it to drink. See, you can only sensitize people, oh, you don't do this, don't do that and all. Unless until they realize that it is important to protect the environment, they don't do it at all. See, there are also some research studies which have shown that, see, when we are talking about environmental policy, there are 2-3 methods of environmental policies. One is persuasion, instruments there. One is persuasion, second one is command and control. In persuasion means what? You will put signboards, don't litter, don't do this, don't do that. It is only, you will only sensitize people, don't do this, don't do that. So that won't work. Only 40% of people, research has shown, only less than 40% of people only oblige that. But whereas rest don't oblige it. And if it is only persuasion, it is only creating awareness, you don't have instruments to punish them. But whereas in command and control, if you will tell them, and those who do not do that, those who don't oblige that, you have instruments to punish. So all this transformation, for this transformation, you need social reform. And people's empowerment. People's empowerment is what? Empowerment is having control over something. So people's empowerment, people have empowerment, people have control over their lives. People have control over their production. So it is possible for them to contribute to live in a sustainable way. So that is why to ensure development as a life-sustaining process. So sustainable development needs all these things: economic development, environment protection, social reforms, and also the people's empowerment. That is why I'm telling every one of you from different disciplines, you will have a place to have a role to play in the environmental sustainable development. So this is the dimension. So as I told you, see, economic development, social progress, and environmental responsibility. I'll explain this. I really like this diagram. I think it is from UNDP. So first one is, if we focus only economic development, sustainable, these are the dimensions of sustainable development, where all these things are important for sustainable development. I am explaining. See, economic development, as I told you, economic development is important. So if we focus only on economic development and social progress, without bothering about environmental responsibility, what happens is, you will develop a fair world. It is only economic development and social progress. So you will develop a fair world, because in this world you have production, and also people have social progress. They may lead to fair world, livable world. But we don't know whether the resources will be available for next generation or not. Whereas if you focus only on social progress and environmental responsibility, so what happens is, you will get a livable world, because here social progress is there and environmental responsibility is also there. So people will be conscious. So it leads to certainly a livable world. But we don't know whether people have got enough to eat in this world, because we are not progressing on the economic development. So that is why this also doesn't lead to sustainable development. And third one is economic development and environmental responsibility. So this is focusing on environmental development and economic development and environmental responsibility. If you focus on economic development and environmental responsibility without bothering about the social progress, we may lead to what is called it may lead to only a viable society, but we don't know whether it is a fair society or not. Because in the economic development process, there may be a lot of disparities which we are not addressing in this by focusing only on economic development and environmental sustainability. So that is why from all these things, what we understand is, for a development to be sustainable development, you need to focus both on economic development and also the social progress and also the environmental responsibility. So now we know why it is a sustainable development progress. So you need to have environmental irresponsible production processes. You need to have economic development, and also you need to focus on the social progress of the economy. So this is about sustainable development goals. I will talk a little bit about. I already told you that why indicators are important, because they measure us where we stand. So sustainable development goals, they are also known as the global goals. So United Nations as announced this 2015 as a universal call to action to end poverty and protect the planet and ensure that all people enjoy peace and prosperity by 2030. See, now 2030 doesn't look too far. So we are already in 23, 24. So it is 30 is not too far. But anyway, that time when they made it 15 years, so they made it as 2030. By 2030, countries should reach a kind of a level so that sustainable development progresses. So General Assembly adopted this 2030 agenda and 17 sustainable development goals as a universal and transformative development strategy. So these 17 goals are evolved, or they brought out 17 goals so that by 2030 all the countries in the world, they reach a level and they will reach a transformative development. It is a development strategy. So why it is a development strategy is, within these 15 years, all efforts should be to meet 100% of the 17 sustainable development goals, because it is assumed, or it is planned that if all the countries reach all the sustainable development goals by 2030, the world is going to have a sustainable development. So 2030 agenda commits the global community to achieving sustainable development in 3 dimensions. So this development agenda, as I told you, it focuses on 3 dimensions, as I showed you in sustainable development. So one is economic dimension, and social dimension, and environmental dimension in a balanced and integrated manner. So all these sustainable development goals include your economic dimension, your social dimension, and also the environmental dimension. So widespread acceptance by the integration of this dimension necessary, but there are also many questions how. See, everybody accepted that an integration of all these 3 dimensions are important for sustainable development. Everybody accepts that. But not many people know how to go about it. Nobody knows how to integrate, how precisely we can integrate the economic, social, and environmental, how to balance these things. That is where actually the countries, some countries are leading, some countries are lagging, because in each country, it depends on many issues, like socio-economic status of the country, socio-economic status of the people, available resources, and the governance structures. So all that will determine how you integrate all these 3 dimensions for sustainable development. Even within the country, within our own country, even states, different states, because India is a big country. Each country is like, each state is like a country in Europe. So we have so much diverse population. So despite knowing that we need to focus on all these 4 dimensions, it is very, very difficult how to integrate all these processes. And that is why actually nowadays people have coined the term what is called the wicked problems. See, world's problems are wicked problems. Wicked problems in the sense, what it means is, wicked not in that sense, dushtanta, ataralla. So wicked andre, they are too complex. They're too complex, and it is not possible to address one without disturbing the other one. Say, for example, if you focus on output, so certainly you'll be using the natural resources. But if you want to not to disturb the resources, and you will not be able to produce goods and services. So if you operate one for even other kind of policies also. So some policies also, one policy will be negatively affecting the other policies. See, for example, our Karnataka government freebies, Karnataka government free bus thing, and also providing 2,000 rupees for head of the household to their account. So these are actually the idea why government of Karnataka has introduced this is, there is theoretical background, there is relevance. See, what theory says is, and what other countries also, which came out of the economic depression is, this is again, we call it as Keynesian economics. What Keynes said is, people, you put money in people's hands. So, and when you put money in people's hands, they will spend it. When they spend it, it becomes income to the owners of the resources. And when owners of the resources get, they would invest. And then when they invest money, more employment will be created. So that is the kind of virtuous cycle is expected. So that is how actually apart from political reasons, but economic rationale for spending this is, so money spent in this manner will again come back to government in the form of GST and in the form of creation of new jobs and all. But this policy has a conflict with other policies. See, for example, it affects your fiscal policy. So your tax collections will be less and your expenditure will be more. So like that, it has the policy conflicts. So it is important to look at all the dimensions in the policy when you want to promote sustainable development. So what the mission statement of the Sustainable Development Goals is? It is a blueprint to achieve a better and more sustainable future for all by 2030. It's a blueprint to achieve a better and more sustainable future for all. That is the mission statement of the goal. So Sustainable Development Goals, it is just a blueprint. So if all the countries reach 100% of those sustainable goals by 2030, so it will lead to the sustainable development of all the countries in the world. So Millennium Development Goals, before the Sustainable Development Goals, Millennium Development Goals were announced. So Millennium Development Goals with a target of 2015. So 2000 they were announced, so with the target for 2015. So these Millennium Development Goals are very narrow in nature, and priority areas are human development. So Millennium Development Goals came about when human development concept was developed. So focus more on human development. That means focus more on health and education and incomes of the people. So it is mainly for focused on developing countries, and aid is in the form of foreign aid. But whereas Sustainable Development Goals are much, much broader, and Sustainable Development Goals address many, many countries, many nations, and Sustainable Development Goals, they promote domestic investments, private flows, and also, of course, certainly international aid. So this is the difference between the Millennium Development Goals and the Sustainable Development Goals. And Sustainable Development Goals are much, much broader, and they're applicable to both developing countries and also developing countries. See, and these are the Sustainable Development Goals. And in this Sustainable Development Goals, you will see, yeah. So you will see, I don't read all these things. I'm sharing, I have already shared with Professor Nanjinda Swami. You can also take the PPT if you want. So these are the Sustainable Development Goals, and all are interrelated. All are interrelated. So the targets are fixed. How much the country has to live, how much poverty is to be reduced, how much hunger is to be reduced, how much good health is to be ensured, and targets are fixed. And one important thing of the Sustainable Development Goals is, this is partnerships for the goals. This is a very, very important goal. Why it is a very important goal is, so now world is very much connected. Every country is connected. For example, if you see information communication technology, you can sit here and communicate with anybody in the world. This minute you can communicate. That is the power of information communication technology. So if it is at the individual level, whereas at the institutional level, at the country level, countries are more connected now than earlier. So, and Sustainable Development Goals, the 17th goal, what it says is, to achieve all these goals, you have to achieve all these goals by promoting partnerships. As I told you, wicked problems, it is not possible to solve by one institution, because world's problems are wicked problems. So you need to solve it in collaboration or in partnership with the other institutions. So, and other countries at the global level, the partnerships among the countries, at the national level, partnership among the institutions. So that is promoted by the Sustainable Development Goals. So in the Indian context, I will give an example of this partnerships. See, in what is called 2013 Industrial Policy, government has announced, government has made corporate social responsibility mandatory. So under the mandatory corporate social responsibility, every country, every producer or every corporate, government or private, both. So they should spend 2% of their profits on what is called the corporate, on as part of their corporate social responsibility. So such kind of, and under that mandatory CSR, they have clearly mentioned that the corporate sector should spend the money on social service activities in partnership with voluntary organizations or any other local institutions, both government or non-governmental organizations. So deliberately partnerships are promoted between the corporate sector and also the voluntary organizations and also the government. See, my work on my ICSSR project is on the partnerships, how companies are partnering with voluntary organizations, and what are the challenges that companies are facing, and what are the challenges NGO sector is facing. So NGO sector is completely different than what it was compared to earlier. So now NGO sector is changing. There is a lot of changes. So what are the goals? Sustainable development goals. Little bit about. I have shown already end poverty in all forms everywhere. To end poverty in all forms in everywhere. And goal 2 is end hunger. Ending hunger means achieving food security. And not just simply security, improving the nutrition and promote sustainable agriculture. Because when it happens is, when you can improve the nutrition, when the development is sustainable, when the agriculture is sustainable. So the goal 2 focuses not only on hunger, but also on promoting sustainable agriculture. Goal 3 is ensure healthy lives and promote well-being of all at all stages. And goal 4 is ensure inclusive and equitable quality education. See, goal 3 and 4 are, they take the goal 1, 2, 3, 4. They take 3, 4, 5 also. They take the social dimension of sustainable development. See, here I told you there are different dimensions of sustainable development. So these 5 goals, they take care of what is called a social development of the social dimension of the sustainable development. So goal 5 is achieve gender equality and empower all women and girls. So these are the social dimension of the sustainable development. And goal 6, ensure availability and sustainable management of, this is environmental part of it. Environmental dimension of sustainable development. So in the environmental dimension of sustainable development, what it says is, it says ensure availability and sustainable management of water and sanitation for all, ensure access to affordable, reliable and sustainable and modern energy. So this is also environmental part of it. And inclusive and sustainable economic growth. And that is the economic part of it. Economic development part of it. Economic development dimension. So this goal takes care of economic dimension of the sustainable development and build a resilient infrastructure, promote inclusive and sustainable industrialization and foster innovation. So this is also an economic dimension of the sustainable development. Reduce inequality within and among countries. This is again social dimension of the sustainable development. And similarly, sustainable development goal 11. So, I just got, yeah. Where is this? 1 minute. Oh. So this is goal number 11. So make the societies, this is not seen for all of you. Yeah. See, goal 11 is make cities and human settlements inclusive, safe and resilient and sustainable. See, because in the process of developing the cities, it should not lead to unsustainable way. So it also takes care of the economic dimension and ensure sustainable consumption and production pattern. So this is again social dimension. It should not only ensure the production, but also consumption also should be sustainable and take urgent action to combat climate change and its impacts and conserve and sustainably use the oceans, seas, marine resources for sustainable development. They are all environmental dimension of sustainable development. And protect, restore, and promote sustainable use of terrestrial ecosystems, and manage forest sustainably and combat desertification, and halt and reverse land degradation, and halt biodiversity. In all these environmental aspects, every discipline has got something to contribute. And Sustainable Development 16, promote peaceful and inclusive society for sustainable development. So how this happens? This is again a social component. You need to transform the societies. So to transform the societies so that they can live peacefully. And 17 is strengthen the means of implementation and revitalize the global partnerships. See again, Sustainable Development 17, what it says is all the above should be achieved in partnership, because world's problems are too complicated and they are wicked problems. They can't be handled by one partner, one institution. So it should be in partnership with the several institutions. So goal 17 is an implementation part of it. So what goal 17 says is all the above targets are to be achieved in partnership with the institutions. So this is about the sustainable development goals. And this is a relationship between sustainable development, green economy, and quality of education. See how green economy leads to the sustainable development. So green economy is a means to attain what is called the sustainable development. The outcome of the sustainable development is quality of life. When the development is sustainable, it will lead to better quality of life for everybody. So this is the reason why we have to focus on sustainable development. So sustainable development, it is not very easy. So as I told you, as a concept, it is a beautiful concept. But how to operationalize this? What are the challenges? See, the challenges are, first challenge itself is prioritize and interpret indicators. So within the, develop the indicators, and within that you have to prioritize. And after prioritizing the indicators, you have to collect the data and interpret them according to the conceptual framework. So this is the general framework for the challenges for measuring the sustainable development. So what are the global efforts? So there are several global efforts. Countries have made efforts to understand the sustainable, to measure the sustainable development. See, so many consultative meetings have taken place to arrive at the goals of the sustainable development, or they are the sustainable development indicators. So global efforts, one is the Commission on Sustainable Development. So United Nations Commission on Sustainable Development. So they have series of meetings. So then this United Nations Conference on Environment and Development, that is also known as Earth Summit, it has taken place. So the sustainable development goals have evolved over a period of time. And working group on statistics for sustainable development. See, there are two processes. First thing is understanding the concept. What is sustainable development? And second thing is how to measure it, identifying the indicators. And third one is how to promote them. So in all these processes, so several consultative meetings have taken place. United Nations Economic Commission for Europe, Eurostat, OECD, they all have been involved in the developing the sustainable development goals. So UN Commission, they have given sustainable development framework. So they also gave some of these indicators as what you have seen now as development goals. So they also have identified these goals, and based on this, we have arrived at what is called the sustainable development goals. So what are the indicators? See, we know poverty. What is poverty? How to measure this? So they came out with some indicators. So that is proportion of population living below national poverty line, and ratio of share in national income of the highest to the lowest. So these are some of the, I'm not spending too much time because I know that there are many from science background. So it may be boring for you to understand. But what is very, very important is to measure this, you really need some core indicators. So these are the indicators for governance. Because how will you measure the governance? So governance is governance, but how to measure? So then one of the indicators is this. Similarly, health situation and education also, like enrollment ratio and school attainment level. And these are some of the indicators for the health. And similarly, atmosphere. So atmosphere measuring is carbon dioxide emissions. What is the extent of carbon dioxide emissions? And ozone layer depletion. And similarly, land, arable and permanent cropland area, how much is there, how much is not there. So oceans, all these are the indicators to measure the different indicators. Similarly, biodiversity. For that, they came out with an indicator proportion of terrestrial area protected and total by ecological region. So these are somewhat complicated, complex indicators that they have developed. And for economic development, they use some of these indicators. So this is not very difficult. And similarly, global economic partnerships. The partnerships also, they came out with some of the indicators. What is happening? Something is happening, some commotion.
No, someone's mic was unmuted.
Oh, okay, so it went to unmute mode. I thought some commotion, something is happening. Okay.
Carry on. You can move.
So that is okay. Then in India, we have Niti Aayog. They have developed the National Indicator Framework for measuring the sustainable development in India. And they also have followed the same indicators because they need to be comparable across the world. And we have followed the national framework, and also at the state level also it has been, it has been developed. 1 minute. Yeah. So at the state level also some indicators are developed. So I'm not going to tell you about the indicators. They are more or less the same indicators that has been given by UN. But now we will see which states are progressing, which states are, because for us, you feel very good to be talking about the states around us rather than comparing ourselves with US, UK and all. So progress towards sustainable development goals. This is in composite sustainable development. Why the status bar is going there? It should have been down. Yeah. Now I am able to put it. So here you see that now composite sustainable development goals. This is the 18 and 2021. Okay. So I just took 2 points. Earlier data also there, but I couldn't paste them now. So here the composite sustainable development. So where all these indicators, there is methodology to arrive at the indices. There are a lot of complicated calculations. So, but there they have taken all the indicators, all the 179 indicators, and arrived at this is the index. This country has attained this much. See, for example, in composite index, now what is more important? It is very difficult to remember many of these things. So, in visual terms, what you can do is, so these countries are performers, means they have achieved between 50 to 64% of the goals. See, goal is this much. Goal is up to here. This 100% they have to reach. But now they have reached only this much percentage. See here, this yellow color is performers. Those are have attained between 50 and 64%. And forerunners, this blue color things are forerunners which have attained between 65 to 90. It is quite a broad range. 65, 66, 67, 68, 69. So quite a broad range, but starting with 65. So these are the forerunners. Whereas red colors are aspirants. In the sense, the states which have not reached even 50%. So just remember that red is to attain, and yellow is a little bit performing, and green is performing better. Achieved, completely achieved is 100%, but there are very few. So now based on this, let us see how many have moved from yellow to green. If you look at it, 2018-19 and 2021, this yellow band has come down. See here, yellow, we had many number of yellow, and here number of yellows have come down. So, and green color has increased. So that means, many states and union, this part is union territories and this part is states. Actually, this, I don't know how I pasted, it is a bit hazy, but here at least state names are seen clearly. I think I pasted as picture and I pasted as bit map and something like that. That time I don't know. Okay. So basically what comes out of this is, in the case in attainment of sustainable development goals, there is some progress. There is some progress between 18-19 and 2021, and many states moved from performer that is less than 60% to more than 60%. This is all India level 66%. This is all India level 60%. That is average. Average performance is 60% in 18-19, and it has come down, it has increased to 66% in 2021. But many states, many union territories have moved from less performance to more performance. And then next one is, yeah. So, and we will go one by one. So that is composite. Composite means taking into consideration all 17 indicators, all 17 goals rather, all 17 goals, and each goal, all 17 goals together, how much the country has performed is the earlier one. So here we'll go by goal by goal. So goal 1 is what is called the no poverty. So no poverty, achieving no poverty is one of the first goal. It is the first goal. And in this, where did India stand? See, if you look at this, in 18-19, many states were performing very poor. Many states were performing very low. And whereas these red numbers have come down. So many states have moved from red to yellow, and many states have moved from yellow to green. So means, more than 60% they have attained. See, all these states have performed more than 60%. Whereas only few states have performed less than 60%. So that means there is some increase in no poverty goal, but still there is lots to be achieved. Still 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 states they have not attained even 50%. So 6 states are still, they are less than 40%. See, for example, Chhattisgarh. Chhattisgarh has reached only 49%, and Odisha, it has attained only 41%, and Bihar only 32%. Even now in 2022, even now Bihar has attained in poverty reduction, Bihar has attained only 32%, still long way for the state to go. This is in terms of no poverty. Whereas in the case of second goal is zero hunger, attaining zero hunger. Even in terms of zero hunger, still we have so many red states, so many states in red in attaining zero hunger. Still we have lots to go, and union territories also still there is so much to be achieved, and even among union territories also you will find some. Yeah, even among union territories, you will find 2 union territories still in red color. And this is second goal. And this is the third goal, good health and well-being. In good health and well-being, Indian states are performing better. And country average also 74. In good health and well-being, country's average is 74. And from average 61 to, it has reached the 74. Whether I should thank COVID or not, I don't know. But COVID made us to awake about the health infrastructure, and some efforts are being made to improve the health infrastructure. So because of that, these states in health, they are in red color. So now everybody is in, all states are in yellow color. So in terms of health, we are reasonably okay, improving. And whereas in quality education quality education is still a distant dream for us. So we still have lots to attend. And I'm very sorry to tell that in India, in the development planning, these sectors, health and education, which are very, very crucial and which have a very, very positive impact on several other sectors. But these two sectors are completely neglected ever since we got our independence. So our education system still, we have low quality. In quality of education, still all these states are yet to attain. So Bihar, it has attained only 29, and Nagaland only 39%. And whereas Meghalaya, Jharkhand, Madhya Pradesh, Odisha, mostly northeastern states are not doing very well. Still lots to achieve. I can speak for any number of hours on this. So I'm just, and this is another dimension, gender equality. In gender equality also, we are doing very poorly in the sense, still so many are yet to attain even 50%. In gender equality, we have attained only 42% in 18 average. And whereas in at All India level 2021, we have attained 48%. Even at the All India level, we have not, even average also, we have not reached the 50%. It is a very, very bad situation, and it needs to be addressed. So if at all we are missing sustainable development goals by 2030, it is mainly because of gender inequality. And clean water and sanitation. In clean water and sanitation, Goa has attained 100%, and other states are reasonably good. You don't have any red color in this clean water and sanitation indicator. I want to remind you one thing. So when we are talking about clean water and clean energy, affordable and all these things, again, all these statistics are susceptible, or they are very, very much influenced by the indicators. So if you anybody who is interested, you can just get back to the indicators of this particular goal. If you are interested in a particular goal, you go to the indicators and see what are the indicators. Then you will be able to understand much better about these things. In this 1 hour class, I can't get back to that and explain to you. I'm only talking about the progress towards sustainable development goals in India and where states are standing. So in affordable and clean, because in affordable and clean energy, India made good progress. We made alternative energy systems and promoting solar energy and energy efficient the vehicles. So by all those things, many states are performing very well, and many states have moved from yellow to blue. And whereas decent work and economic growth. In decent work and economic growth, here also we have some indicators, how many are in vulnerable employment, and whether there is any decent pay. So all those are some of the indicators of the decent work and economic growth. So here also, still some states have not even reached the 40%. In decent fund and economic growth, India has attained only what is called the 61%. All over India, we have attained only the 61%. Still so much is there for us to be achieved. And industry, innovation and infrastructure. Here also we are lagging behind. Despite our Make in India and all this, what is called several improvement programs and trainings and all those things, still we are lacking that innovation and infrastructure. Actually, according to me, it is my personal opinion. So this can't be this innovation in industry, innovation and all. It can't be developed at a higher level. It has to be at the lower level. It should start from school. It should start, then that kind of our education system should promote that when the minds are young. So then, it continues, but our education system is not promoting that kind of thinking, critical thinking. So that is why here in innovation also, we are still in so many states are lagging behind. Orissa, Rajasthan, Uttar Pradesh. So better performing states are Gujarat, Tamil Nadu, Punjab, Goa, Haryana, Maharashtra. So even there also, all over the country, we have attained only 55%. And some states, Bihar, Meghalaya, they are all in a very, very bad situation. And reduce inequalities. This is also another issue. Yeah, we have rich people who are in Forbes list and all. At the same time, we also have people who are not able to get even 1 square meal, 2 square meals a day. So this is the reduced inequalities. In terms of reduced inequalities also, still we have got red Bihar, Nagaland, Rajasthan, Uttar Pradesh. The inequalities are very, very high. Still long way to go, and efforts are to be made in this direction. And similarly, sustainable cities. In sustainable cities and communities, we have attained some better performance due to interventions and investments. So quite a few states have moved from red to blue and yellow. And sustainable consumption and production. So here also through several measures, so sustainable consumption and production, red states have gone to yellow states. But climate action still long way to go. In climate action, which is the environmental dimension of sustainable development, in climate action, we have only few states which are performing better. Many states are not performing well, and these are not at all performing well. So we still have got so many states, and that is the status. And life below water. So that is life below water within oceans and things. So these are only for coastal states. We have this data. So in this life below state also, we have moved from red to blue, red to yellow and blue. There is better performance. And life on land. So life on land includes your forest resources and fauna, flora, and all that is life on land. So life on land, actually, we have slipped from 1819 to 2021. It is reverse has taken place. From green, some states have become yellow and red states have increased. Maybe because resources are moved towards health during COVID and all. Maybe some such thing would have happened. And peace, justice, and strong, we are very good in this. See, peace, justice, and strong, because we have institutions in place. But how many people are getting justice and all? Don't ask me that. But this is based on, it's not based on beneficiary survey. It's not based on the beneficiary survey. It is based on the existence of institutions. How these institutions are performing, it's another issue. But whether you have institution in place or not. So in that sense, we are good at the institutions, and many states have got the institutions. So if you sum up this, you can say the top performing states, as per the report, are Kerala is the top score. Himachal Pradesh and Tamil Nadu are also doing well. Andhra Pradesh, Goa, Karnataka. Actually, mostly southern states are doing better. And Maharashtra has attained only 70. So worst performing states. So worst performing states are Chhattisgarh, Nagaland, Odisha, Arunachal Pradesh, Meghalaya, Assam, Jharkhand, Bihar. Still, they are not performing well. So Karnataka is in 6th in achieving the sustainable development goals with a score of 66. So I want to keep some time for our discussion. So this is the sustainable indicator score, how overall India is performing in sustainable development goals. So you see that there is an improvement, but there is again slight decline, and we'll have to see how it goes because of COVID and transfer of resources from different this one. So status in where does India stand? I just thought that a few slides about not only houses but also comparatively where India says this is sustainable. So country continues to face major challenges, achieving 11 of the so which has pushed down. Okay. So 2022 Global Index, the country ranked 121 out of 163. It had ranked 117 in 2020 and 120 in 2021. So we still have a lot to do. And no, this is too technical, but spillover is actually the country by its own performance affecting the other countries badly. So in that we are okay. I mean, in some countries, their actions are negatively affecting the host country. So that is what is called the spillover effect. Spillover effect. So, and this is about, and these are some graphics. I'm not, but this is actually really, I liked this because this really gives directions. And among the Asian countries, this is not comparing with US and UK, our own neighbors. So our own neighbors, Bangladesh, Bhutan, and Cambodia, China, of course, India, Indonesia, Asian countries, and also Pakistan. So in poverty, China has attained better, all this green. Green indicates on track. They are doing better. So in poverty, China, India, Indonesia, they are doing better, whereas Bangladesh and all moderately increasing, but not. Whereas in terms of second, zero hunger, in terms of zero hunger, India is in red. It has lots to go. But whereas China attained better, somewhat better. And Pakistan, of course, is in red. And good health and well-being. In good health and well-being. In overall progress, it is at to reach. We have not reached. And then quality of education. Quality education also still we have to reach. Gender equality we are in red. So all these things are like this. It takes too much time. So growth pattern of India's health and education. Well, I segregated separately from health and education. This is my student's slide. I have used this with his permission. That is why I have included his name also. So this is growth pattern of India's health and education score, how we are performing in health and education. This is, we are progressing, but still not at the desired level. So Karnataka, where Karnataka stands, overall Karnataka, where Karnataka stands in sustainable development goals. So to reach 100, how far the state is in terms of all these indicators. So in 2021, sustainable cities, we have reached 78%. And clean energy, India is doing, Karnataka is doing well in energy scenario. So in clean energy, lot of, so it has reached 100% level. No poverty, it is at to reach 68. And responsible consumption and production also, it has reached better. Zero hunger, it is at to reach. Gender equality, we are still behind. We have reached only 57. We have to reach 100. And good health and well-being. Within good health and well-being, Karnataka has not been, Karnataka has been doing well, 78. Peace, justice, 76. Reduced inequality is still long way to go. And clean water and sanitation, we are doing well. And life below water, 60% we have reached. Decent work, we are lagging behind. And climate action, we are lagging behind. Quality education, despite having world-class institutions like ISC and IIT and other things. And life on land also, we still have got, we have reached only 67% by 2021. We don't know the as the lowest score in comparison its performance. No, this is again Karnataka only. So now after telling all these things, I should tell you, it is up to 115, I think, no? Is it up to 115?
It's 1, madam. It's 1.
No, now time is 1, but class is up to 1 or 115?
1.
1, ma'am.
1 only. Oh God, I have completed. So I'll just speak 1 minute, because after telling all the issues, I need to suggest what is to be done. We are yet to reach. So if I stop there, it won't be, I won't feel good. So what are the normative shifts that are needed? So emphasizes the need for 4 normative shifts. So it's not that only they have to tell, but they are appropriate for our country also. So social justice and ecological sustainability must become fundamental policy objectives. So it should become the fundamental, like, social justice and ecology. We have to focus only on that, other than they are actually marginal objectives, but they should become the fundamental objectives. And second one is, from short-term policy horizon to long-term. This is very, very important. See, we need to have the long-term policy horizon. I'm not a politician, I'm not a vice chancellor, I'm not a decision maker. But I can clearly see that, our policies are very, very short-term. We just, some crisis comes, we'll get over that, and again, oh, India performed very well in dealing with. But what is next? Dealing with this, ho gaya. So we really lack that kind of long-term planning. And replacing gross domestic product as a measure metrics encompass 3 dimensions. So we should not measure only GDP, but we should also look at this. And recognition that resources of the planet are not timeless and they cannot be always addressed. But this is very important. So people think that the resources are unlimited, but they are not unlimited, they are limited. And all resource issues can be solved by technology. People think that with technology you can solve everything. Certainly it is not. So current generation should know this. So it is not, technology is not everything. So you should not think that technology does everything. So we need system thinking and balanced investment and synergies. Synergies is very important. It's not just standing alone. Okay, you invest here, okay. No, as I told you, problems are wicked problems. And they can't be solved by only one level of investment or one line of interventions. So you need to balance it and synergies. So something people are talking about synergy among the programs and all. Still, we don't have that. See, this is one best example of how public investments should go, where public investment should go. See, here we all encourage nowadays. The fellow gets a job, immediately will buy a car. Is it necessary? See, here you say 70 people in 70 automobiles. Here 70 people in one automobile. So when it happens if your public transportation system is good. If I have a public transportation system, I happily sit and go to office. I don't have to bother. Why I take trouble to drive the negotiated traffic? Is because I don't have, there is no guarantee that I can reach in time to my office. So public transportation system is the very root of several issues. So by following that, you can save so much of money. Some countries I have seen, and it's not that we started on a better note or they started on a better note. People argue that it is a small country, so they can manage anything. It's not that. It is, according to me, it is the mindset. See, for example, making life easy for people. Say, for example, if you take any European country, you see the government buses are there. Why people like me don't take government buses is, first thing is, they are not available in many areas. And second thing is, I can't get into the bus, it is so high. But whereas in several countries, the design is like that, it will come exactly to your platform. So you stand on a platform and you will get into that. It is only thinking, it's not that it is not possible. The technology cannot be developed. But where are people? Where people are thinking about the people? The decision makers are thinking about people. You will only bother about short-term measures, finish, okay, we put 200 buses, 300 buses. But who are using is, where are they? And again, everything is in India, decisions are only, all decisions are political. There is a nexus between political thinking and parties and other things. I should not talk more about it. I'll be put in jail if I talk anything about that. So, but the thing is, this is the situation. So it is important to focus on that. So with this thing, I think I will stop. I'm sorry if I have rushed too much. I will stop sharing. Yeah. So because the time is very, very less, and talking about to diverse group like you're all, but I hope that I could make some introduction to your role and what role and you should play in promoting sustainable development, march towards sustainable development. I will just take some 3-4 minutes. If there are any questions, quickly to the point, and I will also to the point. Okay, please.
Madam.
Yeah.
So Honraju anta maataಡ್ತಾ ಇದೀನಿ.
ಬಸವರಾಜ್. Yeah.
ಹೊನ್ನರಾಜು ಅಂತ
ಹೊನ್ನರಾಜು. Okay, ಗೊತ್ತಾಯ್ತು. Yeah, ಹೇಳಿ.
ಮೇಡಮ್, ಭವಿಷ್ಯದ ಅವಶ್ಯಕತೆಗಳಿಗೆ ಯಾವುದೇ ರೀತಿಯಾಗಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ವಿಘ್ನ ಅಥವಾ ಧಕ್ಕೆ ಬರ್ದೇನೆ ಇವತ್ತಿನ ಪೀಳಿಗೆಯ ಅವಶ್ಯಕತೆಗಳನ್ನ ಈಡೇರಿಸಿಕೊಂಡು ಹೋಗುವಂತದನ್ನ ನಾವು ಸುಸ್ಥಿರ ಅಭಿವೃದ್ಧಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ಕರಿತೀವಿ. ಇಂತಹ ಸುಸ್ಥಿರ ಅಭಿವೃದ್ಧಿಯನ್ನ ಆರ್ಥಿಕ ಬೆಳವಣಿಗೆ ಮತ್ತೆ GDP ಒಟ್ಟು ದೇಶೀಯ ಉತ್ಪನ್ನವನ್ನ ಹೆಚ್ಚು ಮಾಡುವಂಥದ್ದು ಮತ್ತೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಉನ್ನತ ಶಿಕ್ಷಣದಲ್ಲಿ ಅನ್ವಯಿಸ್ಕೊಂಡಿದೀವಿ. ಅದನ್ನ ಇನ್ನಷ್ಟು ಪರಿಣಾಮಕಾರಿಯಾಗಿ ಜಾರಿಗೆ ತಗೋಬರ್ಬೇಕು ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಅದರ ಮಟ್ಟವನ್ನ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಆಂತರಿಕ ಮಟ್ಟ ಇದೆಯಲ್ಲ ಅದನ್ನ ಇನ್ನಷ್ಟು ಹೆಚ್ಚಿಸ್ಬೇಕು ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಏನ್ ಸಜೆಷನ್ಸ್ ಕೊಡ್ತೀರಿ ಅಂತ? ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಇವಾಗ ಬೇರೆ ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ಸ್ ಗಳಿಗೆ ಹೋಲಿಸ್ಕೊಂಡ್ರೆ ಕರ್ನಾಟಕ ತುಂಬಾ ಹಿಂದೆ ಇದೆ. ಸೊ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ತಾವು ಏನ್ ಸೂಚಿಸ್ತೀರಿ ಅಂತ?
ಅದೇ ನಾನು ಹೇಳಿದ್ನಲ್ಲ, ನಾನು ಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್ ಅಪ್ರೋಚ್ ಬೇಕು. ಯು ಕಾಂಟ್ ಜಸ್ಟ್ ಪೋಸ್ಟ್ ಗ್ರಾಜುಯೇಷನ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಬಂದು ನೀವು ಸಸ್ಟೈನಬಲ್ ಡೆವಲಪ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಕಲ್ತ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ರೆ ಪ್ರಯೋಜನ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಸೊ ಯು ನೀಡ್ ದಟ್ ಕೈಂಡ್ ಆಫ್ ಥಿಂಕಿಂಗ್ ಔಟ್ ಆಫ್ ದಿ ಬಾಕ್ಸ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರಲ್ಲ, ಆ ತರ ಥಿಂಕಿಂಗ್ ನಾವು ಸ್ಕೂಲ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ಮಕ್ಕಳಿಗೆ ನಾವು ಶುರು ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. ಸೊ ನಾವೇನಂದ್ರೆ ಮಗಪ್ ಮಾಡಿಸ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಪ್ರೊಡ್ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡೋದು. ಸೊ ಕ್ರಿಯೇಟಿವ್ ಆಪರ್ಚುನಿಟಿ, ಕ್ರಿಯೇಟಿವ್ಲಿ ಥಿಂಕ್ ಮಾಡೋದು ನಾವು ಹೇಳ್ಕೊಡ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಮತ್ತೆ ಅಲ್ಲಿಂದ ಬಂದಿದ್ಮೇಲೆ ಇದು ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ವಿ ಆರ್ ಆಲ್ ಇನ್ ಎಜುಕೇಶನ್ ಡಿಪಾರ್ಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್, ನಾವು ವಿದ್ಯಾದ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಮಾತಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ನಿ. ಸೊ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ನಮ್ಮ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನಾದ್ರೂ ಒಂದು ಬದಲಾಯಿಸೋಣ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಅದಕ್ಕೂ ಕೂಡ ಏನೋ ಒಂದು ಬೇಡ. ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ಪೀಪಲ್ ರೆಸಿಸ್ಟ್ ಚೇಂಜ್. ಇರೋದು ಹೆಂಗೋ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಹೋಗೋಣ ಅಂತ ಅನ್ನೋದೇ ಬಿಟ್ಟು ನಾವು ಫುಲ್ ಬದಲಾಯಿಸೋಣ ಅಂತ ಅನ್ನೋದು ಪ್ರಮೋಟ್ ಮಾಡೋರು ಇಲ್ಲ, ಬದಲಾಯಿಸಕ್ಕೆ ಬರ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಈಗ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆಗೆ ಬಂದಾಗ, ಎಸ್ ವಿ ನೀಡ್ ಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್ ಥಿಂಕಿಂಗ್, we need creative thinking at the young age. It's not just don't pollute ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಪ್ರಯೋಜನ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಈ ತರ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಈ ತರ ಬರುತ್ತಪ್ಪ, ನೀನ್ ಏನ್ ಅಂತೀಯ ಅಂತ ಅನ್ನೋದು ಅವನ ಹತ್ರ ಹೇಳಿಸ್ಬೇಕು. We have to give the student to think and come out, and that needs to be promoted at ಎಲ್ಲ ಲೆವೆಲ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿನು. ಈಗ ಎಲ್ಲೋ IIT ನಲ್ಲೋ ಅಲ್ಲೆಲ್ಲೋ ಏನೋ ಅವಕಾಶ ಇದೆ, ಏನೂ ಇಲ್ಲ. ನಮ್ಮ ಸೋಷಿಯಲ್ ಸೈಂಟಿಸ್ಟ್ ನಾನು ಹೇಳ್ತೀನಿ, ಸೋಷಿಯಲ್ ಸೈಂಟಿಸ್ಟ್ ಕೂಡ ಬೇರೆ ಸೈಂಟಿಸ್ಟ್ ತರಾನೇ ನಮಗೂ ಜವಾಬ್ದಾರಿ ಇದೆ. ನಮ್ಗೆ ಏನಂದ್ರೆ ಸೋಷಿಯಲ್ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ಸ್ ಆರ್ ಅವರ್ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ಸ್. ಸೊ ಸೋಷಿಯಲ್ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ಸ್ ಅಡ್ರೆಸ್ ಮಾಡೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಇದು ಒಂದೇನಾ, ಇನ್ನೇನೋ ಅವಕಾಶ ಇಲ್ವಾ? ಬರೀ 2000 rupees ಮನೆ ಯಜಮಾನಿ ಅಕೌಂಟಿಗೆ ಹಾಕೋದು ಒಂದೇನಾ ಸಮಸ್ಯೆ, ಅದು ಪರಿಹಾರ? ಇನ್ನೇನು ಪರಿಹಾರಗಳಿಲ್ವಾ? ಎಲ್ಲಿ ಚರ್ಚೆ ನಡೆದಿದೆ? ಏನಾದ್ರೂ ಚರ್ಚೆ ನಡೆದಿದೆ ಇದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕಂತ ಅನ್ನೋದು? ಎಲ್ಲಿ ನಡೀತಾ ಇದೆ ಚರ್ಚೆಗಳು? ಮತ್ತೆ ಇದು ಎಷ್ಟೋ ಇವ್ಯಾಲ್ಯೂಯೇಷನ್ಸ್ ನಡೆಯುತ್ತೆ. ಆ ಇವ್ಯಾಲ್ಯೂಯೇಷನ್ಸ್ ಇಂದ ಏನು ಬಂದಿದೆ ಅಂತ ಪಾಲಿಸಿ ಮೇಕಿಂಗ್ ನಲ್ಲಿ ಹೋಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆಯಾ? ನನಗ್ ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ಲ, ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಿದ್ರೆ ಹೇಳಿ. ಐ ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ ಹ್ಯಾಪಿ ಟು ನೋ ಹೌ ಮಚ್ ಇಸ್ ಗೆಟಿಂಗ್ ಬ್ಯಾಕ್. ಈಗ ನಾವು ಈ ವರ್ಷ 100 ಕೋಟಿ ಅನುದಾನ ಬಿಡುಗಡೆ ಮಾಡಿದ್ವಿ. ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಈ ವರ್ಷ 100 ಕೋಟಿ ಆಗಿದೆಯಲ್ಲ, ಇನ್ನೊಂದು 10 ಕೋಟಿ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಹಾಕೋಣ ಬರೋ ವರ್ಷ ಅಷ್ಟೇ. ಬಟ್ ಈ 100 ಕೋಟಿಯಿಂದ ಏನಾಯ್ತಂತ ಅನ್ನೋದು ಇದೆಯಾ? ಸೊ ಅದರಿಂದ we need people to think, we need policy makers to take the feedback what is happening and why. ಏನಿಲ್ಲ, ನಾನು ಎಷ್ಟೋ ಲೆಕ್ಚರ್ಸ್ ಕೊಡ್ತೀನಿ ಜೆಂಡರ್ ಬಜೆಟ್ ಬಗ್ಗೆ, ಜೆಂಡರ್ ಆಡಿಟ್ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ಮಾತಾಡ್ತೀನಿ. ಜೆಂಡರ್ ಬಜೆಟ್ನು ಪ್ರತಿ ವರ್ಷನೂ ರಿಲೀಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ಜೆಂಡರ್ ಸೆಗ್ರಿಗೇಟೆಡ್ ಬಜೆಟ್, ಕರ್ನಾಟಕ is leading in gender budget, but gender budget is not prepared how it has to be prepared. We are not getting anything from those who are getting benefited from this, whether they are reaching or not reaching, how much is reaching, if they are not reaching, whether we have to increase. ಈಗ ಸ್ಪೆಂಡ್ ಮಾಡಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಯಾಕೆ ಸ್ಪೆಂಡ್ ಮಾಡಿಲ್ಲ? ಜನರಿಗೆ ಅದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ ಸ್ಪೆಂಡ್ ಮಾಡಿಲ್ವಾ? ಆದ್ರೆ ಆಕ್ಸೆಸ್ ಮಾಡೋಕ್ ಗೊತ್ತಿದ್ರು ಕೂಡ ಅವ್ರು ಆಕ್ಸೆಸ್ ಮಾಡೋಕ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ವಾ? ಯಾವ ಕಾರಣದಿಂದ ಸ್ಪೆಂಡ್ ಮಾಡಿಲ್ಲ?
ಅದೇ ದೊಡ್ಡ ಸಮಸ್ಯೆ ಆಗಿರೋದು ಮೇಡಮ್, ಅದೇ ದೊಡ್ಡ ಸಮಸ್ಯೆ ಆಗಿರೋದು.
ಈಗ ಮಾರ್ಚ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಏನೇನೋ ರಿಲೀಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ, ಪಟ ಪಟ್ ಅಂತ
ಒಂದ್ 15-20 ದಿನ ಚರ್ಚೆ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ ಅಷ್ಟೇ, ಅದನ್ನ ಹಾಗೆ ಬಿಟ್ಬಿಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಆ ಕಾನ್ಸೆಪ್ಟ್ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಫೋಕಸ್ ಮಾಡಲ್ಲ ಅವರು.
ಅದೇ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ, ಇದೆಲ್ಲ ತುಂಬಾ ಕಾಂಪ್ಲೆಕ್ಸ್ ಸಿಚುಯೇಷನ್. ಸೊ ಪಾಲಿಸಿನಲ್ಲಿ ವಾಟ್ ಕಮ್ಸ್ ಫ್ರಮ್ ದಿ ಫೀಲ್ಡ್ ಈಸ್ ಟು ಬಿ ಇನ್ಕಾರ್ಪೊರೇಟೆಡ್. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಮೆಕಾನಿಸಮ್ಸ್ ಡೆವಲಪ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. ಬಟ್ ವೇರ್ ಇಸ್ ಇಟ್? ಈ ಪೊಲಿಟಿಕಲ್ ಪಾರ್ಟಿ ಒಂದ್ ಬಂದಾಗ ಅದು ಎಲ್ಲಿ ನನ್ ಕುಚ್ಚಿ ಹೋಗುತ್ತ ಅಂತ ಅನ್ನೋದು ಅದರಲ್ಲೇನೆ ಆಲ್ ಎಫರ್ಟ್ಸ್ ಆರ್ ಮೇಡ್. ನಾನು ಕುಚ್ಚಿ ಹೋಗ್ಬಿಟ್ರೆ ಹೆಂಗೆ? ನನ್ನ ಕುಚ್ಚಿಗೋಸ್ಕರ ನಾನು ಏನಾದ್ರು ಮಾಡ್ತೀನಿ. ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ವಾಟ್ ಯು ಮೈ ನಾಟ್ ಬಿಲೀವ್. ನಾವೊಂದು ಪ್ರಾಜೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದೆ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಮೈಸೂರಲ್ಲಿ, ಕೆಲವು ಮಂದಿ ಗೊತ್ತಿರ್ಬೋದು, ಲೆಕ್ಚರ್